This is the Butterwhat podcast. I don't know. I don't know if it's really going to be a podcast, but we're pretending it is. This is my co-host here, BrianMcMoses.com. He's not really Brian McMoses. There's a good story behind that, but we're not telling that today because this is already going to be a long section. And I'm Pat Regan, and I have headphones on, and we're going to talk to Brian here about home automation and Home Assistant and the things we've been messing around with lately.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Let's do it. So, I did home automation at the old apartment with OpenHab and a bunch of nonsense, and I did some cool stuff. And then when we moved into this house, I bought a house from Brian, which is weird, but I didn't set up any of the home automation stuff right away, and I didn't start until about a month ago, probably.
Yep.
But Brian's been automating things for
a few months.
What, a few months?
Yeah,
quite a few months now.
A few months, yeah.
But Brian gave me a handful of these CloudFree switches that Jeremy Cook from the Creativity Podcast told me I should look into. And I would love to pick one up and show it to you because they're adorable. But they're all plugged in. They're all controlling the lights for this podcast, so I can't unplug them. But we have a picture here from their website. Most of the stuff at this cloudfree.shop website, they have some of the Sonoff brand switches that are flashed with Tasmota, and they have some of their own stuff like these CloudFree SmartPlugs that are flashed with Tasmota. And Tasmota is an open source firmware that runs on ESP8266 and I think ESP32 hardware. And instead of your smart switch talking to the cloud and having to access the internet, Tasmota just talks directly to your home automation controller via MQTT. So you don't need the internet to work for your automation to work. And you don't have to worry about a company going out of business and a service disappearing. Like happened recently with somebody's audio players that I can't remember.
Well, and it happened to me, right? I was using the Sonoff stuff, and all of my home automation was being executed by if this then that, and at the same time, the Sonoff is the name of the hardware. Whatever their software as a service product was, said if you want to use if this then that, you have to subscribe to our premium service. And then if this then that, a few weeks later, turned around and said, if you want to keep using all of your free automations, you need to start subscribing. And I had choice words for that, and I said, well, just forget it. I'm gonna run my own home automation here at the house. And I tried out Home Assistant, and that's what got me vigorously automating things on my own here. And I got way into it. In fact, my Christmas list, my wish list on Amazon, turned into a smorgasbord of different sensors and smart electric switches and outlets.
What made you decide to start automating things? What was the itch that you really needed to scratch?
Well, the thing that I like to joke about is we've got dogs and we've got a porch light in our backyard, but the light switch is on an entire...
You need to take a picture of this for me to include.
I do. The switch is an entire wall away. So you go down, you've got the door, and then you've got some windows, and then you got the corner.
And they take up all the wall space. There's nowhere
nowhere for an electric switch to be. So the switch is on that next wall, 16 inches in, and we've got a huge sectional sofa in front of that switch. So if you want to turn that light switch on, you have to actually kneel on the couch and lean over the back of it and flip the actual switch.
It's totally such a first world problem.
It's the quintessence of a first world problem. So
now I remember I told you how I would fix this. I would just make sure I had LED lights outside and just leave them on
all the time.
Never turn it off.
Well, and
forget that. Just leave them on.
I had a couple I had a couple different ideas, but what I wound up settling on is I got a Z-Wave hinge sensor that,
Ooh.
I mean, it's battery powered, but it goes right in. You pull the pin out of the hinge and then you put this sensor in there and it detects motion. And I think I don't know if you program it, say, hey, this is closed, this is open, or if it just detects movement. But it knows when that door is open, when it moves. And I figured anytime that door moves, I want that light. Anytime that door moves and it's after dark, I want that light to go on for 20 minutes or however long it takes us to let the dogs out and get them back in. That's what I joked about home automating. But I've for a long time I've home automated my office lights, with if this then that before they got greedy.
Yep, that was one of my favorite. That was basically all the automation I had in our old apartment was just mostly the lights in my office.
Yep.
Back then I had to write this was 7 years ago when I started this. I had to write custom Android debugger script stuff to look at the Fire TV to see if video was playing, and it would report that back to OpenWRT, and then if video started playing, it would turn the lights off. If I have a script watching my Steam log files, so if a game opens, my lights turn off and some of the monitors dim, and when a game shuts down, it reverses that process, that sort of stuff. But boy, Home Assistant, I'm sure OpenWRT has similar things, but Home Assistant had an Android TV plugin that just works with the Fire TV. And all I knew was, is video playing or is video not playing? But boy, if we look at this here, I've got my little... I'm not automating anything yet. I'm just collecting data. But you can see here my Fire TVs. We've got the living room and my office. Red is off. It's got idle, playing, and I think there's another... I don't know what the other... These are so small.
Is there
paused? It knows pause.
Is there a switch animation so that you can know when Animal Crossing's being played?
Oh, that'd be interesting.
It would.
I wonder how I'd figure that out.
I've got a...
Then we can pick on Chris when Animal Crossing is going.
It's not in view, but I've home automated. I've got a cherry light like on top of the police squad car.
Yeah, the cherry on
above
top.
above my 3D printer. Every time the 3D printer finishes a print job, that light goes off for 20 seconds. And I use that same action. It also goes off when Yulia gets back home. She's got the app on her phone. So when her home sensor, when her sensor triggers to home, that light turns on also. And that's
fantastic.
I've used that. She got a new phone, and her new phone's GPS kind of sucks, I think, because when she's running errands, it goes off sporadically.
Make sure Home Assistant's location data. Android has like 3 levels of allowed.
Okay. Make sure it's
location
granular.
Make sure it's at a more aggressive one.
Yeah.
Probably.
Maybe I need to do that. But
and we both have our 3D printers in Home Assistant. That's my temperature sensor here in my office. The thermostat's outside, and you can see over here, Tubby, this bouncing between 72 and 76 degrees all day. You can tell here when I close the door to my office to podcast.
It gets
that I'm not getting as much ventilation. We're up at over 78 here in my office. 79.
That's warm.
That's the print bed temperature.
That's the bed temperature.
So it's not accurate. This is not really my office temperature, but it's a good
close
enough
enough.
indicator for me. Yeah, to see what's going on.
I wonder what mine says.
But you got me a handful of those CloudFree sensors that Jeremy discovered. And these are adorable. They're only $9. They're a little round. I think you can fit 2 on an outlet. I should have tested that to make sure. I think you can fit, 2, one on each outlet in a standard outlet. And they work great. They've got a little button on them. And when you hit the button, it sends the MQTT signal to Home Assistant to have Home Assistant flip the light on and off. Not that anybody should ever be reaching for that. I always say I love home automation, but I'm really bummed out when people call a remote control automation.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to click things. I want things to just work.
You've been way more sophisticated on that than me.
Well, I'm not the least bit sophisticated right now. All I'm doing is collecting as much data as I can.
Yeah.
I've added another sensor every few days. I mean, I have these controls for these lights, but it's all manual. I could just, I could empty my. Ooh.
Oh, look at that!
But I've only got 3 modes. This is what the lights usually look like in here when I'm in here, and then I have the podcasting set up where everything is just there's lights all down this wall here for various things that just come on.
I do my work from a desk that's right behind me, and there's a lamp in the opposite corner right behind me. I want to get hooked. I don't know how badly I want to work to get it, but I want to get it hooked into my work calendar so that when I have a meeting, especially a meeting that's got a Zoom URL attached to it, I want to turn that light off because it looks terrible to have that light. I mean, it kind of looks like I'm backlit. I've got this glow around my head.
If you could lower it and hide it, it'd be a hair light, and you'd look pretty awesome.
Well, I look pretty awesome anyways, don't I?
Oh, shut. Oh, wait, you mean you. But I was surprised. I was able to hook right into the thermostat. This old Honeywell Wi-Fi thermostat.
I've been...
Like a first-generation Wi-Fi. But it's cheating. It doesn't actually it talks to their cloud.
Yeah.
But it's getting the job done. It can control the thermostat and it can read. But it only reads once a minute. And they told me don't bump that up. You can make it go higher, but you'll exceed your API limit and they'll shut you down for a while.
Interesting.
And that would be a bummer.
Well, what you need to do is use Tailscale's exit nodes and bounce it around a few...
Bounce them out around everywhere. Yeah, they won't know. Well, I think they do it by my account.
Oh, okay.
By my login,
That's no
I bet
fun.
you. But all of the ons and offs in the graph, they all end at the same interval. So sometimes they'll say the AC ran for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. It's probably just almost the same amount of time every time, but it's just when I happen to query.
Yeah.
I'm just a little off. And you said you connected it to your OpenWRT router.
I do.
Too. I know what that's for. That's for presence detection. You can get all the MAC addresses and host names.
Okay.
I can't use it. I connected mine too just to see what sensors would show up in entities and sensors would show up in Home Assistant. But my main access point that's in the center of the house cannot run OpenWRT. It's just a cheap
that's a bummer.
A cheap router. Yeah, so everybody's connected to that, and it's all... This bums me out. It's all access point related. It's not... they all DHCP to the OpenWRT router, so there's leases for everything. And
okay.
But it doesn't use any of that data.
Interesting.
To tell you what's in the house. It's all Wi-Fi. But boy, I found a project. I don't have any information about this. I didn't know I was going to talk about it. There's a project where you can get a whole bunch of Raspberry Pi Zeros and sprinkle them around your house to triangulate Wi-Fi devices, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth devices.
Oh, wow.
In your home. And it would be cool, except that I put my phone down. I don't know if you can see here in the video, but it has Pat's Phone Sleep Confidence is the name of this title here. That's how confident the Android Fitness app is that I'm asleep there's a 16% chance that I'm asleep. But she thinks I'm always asleep because I take my phone, I walk around, I put it down on my desk, and I leave.
Yep.
And my phone is just here. And this is a lot like sleeping when it's not. It's very sedentary. But it's cool because the Home Assistant app pushes up all sorts of telemetry, location data.
Yeah.
You can see my address down here. I don't need to block that out because it's easy to find where I live. But
I know where you live.
He does know where I live. It's true. I should be afraid of that. But it pushes up when your next alarm is. When you're, I I already said location, the Wi-Fi you're connected to. I have in here battery levels for both of our phones. But you could get... I know there's a button up the top that says, click this button to enable all 50-something sensors. So there's a lot of Android information that can get pushed up. I don't know what happens on iOS. I assume
it's similar. There's a ton. It's so much that I looked at it and I was like, I don't even know. I mean,
I scrolled through for the things I was interested in.
Yeah, and I didn't even do that. I probably just turned them all on and said, I want it all, and I'll go back through it and figure out something to do with it later.
Yep.
My primary Home Assistant screen is just full of sensors for all the things.
Especially with the OpenWRT plugin.
Yes.
Every device that's connected to Wi-Fi.
Yep.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I want to improve the presence detection and tie it to, a combination of GPS and whether you're actually on the access point or not with your mobile device.
Yep. Did you see the thing that I stole from our friend Mike the last time we were out flying?
I did. I'm excited about this.
This is awesome. This is a airbag sensor that goes in the seat of a car. It goes between the cushion and the top fabric. So usually in the passenger seat, I guess. So when you sit in the passenger seat, it decides whether the airbag is going to go off or not. And each of these are just membrane switches. So I had this problem, and it's not really a problem anymore, but I use an e-ink book reader that doesn't have Wi-Fi. So there's no way to know I'm using it. And I've had trouble where I'd sit in this chair over here, and the lights would go off in my office because all the indicators that OpenHAB used to have that I was present said I was not in the room. And the way I fixed that was, and this is what I did with a lot of my, automated stuff, there's an override command of some sort. I was hoping to have it on a clapper, like in the 80s. But basically the override was, no, Judy, the last thing you did was wrong. Undo it, at least for a little while. And basically, if I made the noise, the light would come back on for another hour. But this would tell you if I'm in that chair. And I have it hooked up to this little, what are these called, Brian? This is a Node MCU dev board.
Okay.
It's a ESP8266. I loaded Tasmota on here. And in the web interface, when I hit this, I can see the switch flip. But I'm doing something stupid. I haven't gotten it connected to Home Assistant yet.
But that's just gonna be a light bulb going off. It's gonna figure it out. You've got the hardware working.
I've got the hardware.
If you went and sat in that chair, that switch flips. So
Yep.
it would know.
We just have to get it into Home
Yep.
Assistant. And I'm doing... Because it's a totally custom switch. Like these other Tasmota things have a template preloaded on them. And I don't know what I'm doing. I thought I would have gotten this working by now, but I started adding Fire TVs and thermostats and phones and things to Home Assistant. And
it's really easy. Like Home Assistant, I'm impressed with Home Assistant. The ease of use and the ability to add things to plumb things into it. Like I've got I hate it because it's a printer, but I've got this Brother scanner fax copy. It's on the network. It's Wi-Fi. It found it. I mean, I could write home automation if the toner's low.
when something's printing.
Yeah, or when something's printing. I don't know why I wouldn't, but it just discovered it and said, "Hey, do you want to turn on this integration?" I was like, "Well, yes. Yeah, sure." I mean, I don't know what I'll do with it, but
I'm bummed out about how poor the automation part of Home Assistant is. I know everybody uses the Node Red plugin.
yeah, that's what I did.
And it looks easy to use, but boy, if I have to automate 6 of the same thing, and if I've got to click through that GUI to do it, I'm going to be mad. But I liked the way OpenHAB worked. There was a programming language, a real
Yep.
programming language that you could write code, and you could tie code to a switch flipping, and you could kind of do that with Home Assistant, but the code is lines of variables in YAML markup,
Yep.
and it looks awful. But OpenHAB is going the same direction. They don't want you using the old programming interface.
They want you to use...
Like, I was using OpenHAB 1 point something, and I was thinking about upgrading to 2.0 when it came out, and then now it'd be 3.0, and they've deprecated all the stuff I used to use.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
So I
that.
figured, well, now it's time to use Home Assistant.
Yeah.
And deal with that.
Santa brought me all of the home automation.
Santa Claus?
Santa Claus back in December. He brought me all of that stuff. I'm like, I should be able to recognize my home automation dream of turning the lights on and off when I open that door.
It's fantastic.
But I want to do the same thing in here. You know, like I've got my closet where I keep everything. It's got its own light switch. I just want the light to turn on when that door opens, and I want it to turn off when it goes off.
Yep. And that's something you could do lazy now, though. They sell cheap things that just do that. But you're right. I want to do it the right way.
I kind of want to automate the ceiling fan. I don't know how.
I'm going to hold these up because they're right next to me here because I'm not using them right now. These are, oh my God, they don't pull apart. These are huge compared, those CloudFree switches are a little smaller than this section, but this is an old RF 433 megahertz switch. They come with a little remote. I have that here because I was cheating and using this the other day. Just on and off. I have an ESP8266 with a blaster for these to turn. This was my first home automation 6 years ago. Back when a Wi-Fi switch like this was like $40 and a 3-pack of these was $15, I figured, well, maybe we'll use a whole mess of these. And it worked fine. But there's a Tasmota. No, that's a lie. ESP Home is a thing that's built into Home Assistant. And ESP Home has a plug-in to use these. So I might light these back up just for the sake of doing it.
Those same things?
Yep, those same things. And I found some of these on Amazon that are outdoor rated.
Interesting.
I thought that might be handy. And they were pretty cheap, like a 3-pack for $20 for, rain-safe outdoor devices. But I don't know what I'd use. Christmas lights, maybe?
Christmas lights? I don't know, like a sump pump for something? I mean, maybe...
But 6 years ago, I had to write my own Arduino sketch from scratch to make these work. I had to figure out how to make the RC switch library talk to these, and I had to. Now it's just built into ESP Home. You flash it, you tell it what pin your RF blaster's on, and it just kind of works.
I'm kind of interested in that because I've got my motorized blinds here.
I wonder. Now this is a question. Are they RF 433?
I think they are. I looked it up
because I expected our ceiling fans that have a similar remote like this to be RF 433, but they're an even older protocol. It's some kind of AM radio protocol, and I did not find how to automate.
Interesting.
That.
Yeah, no, I read
yours probably. Those blinds are a new recent. They've been making remote controlled ceiling fans for decades, right? So it's an older thing, and they probably just keep doing them the same.
Yeah, I want to say...
I'll be bummed out if I have to tear down 2 ceiling fans to put in new Wi-Fi or Z-Wave.
Well, just
dinguses
use
up in the ceiling.
A Z-Wave switch, power switch.
Well, you need more. There's one power lead that goes from the wall, where the flipper used to be. But you get to control a light and 3 fan speeds.
Oh, okay.
You can't just do that with on and off. Yeah, you need more. Lieutenant Data, he didn't actually say this, but you can make it scream about PC load line when you're out of paper. He almost said that. Chris wants to know if my big fat cat Rascal would trip the chair sensor.
Probably not.
And
I don't think so.
It's It's pretty easy to... I have a feeling that in the car, there's a kind of an H-shaped small indent in the cushion that this fits specifically in.
Okay.
And these are only $7.
Yeah, they're cheap.
On eBay. It's really cheap. And this is a $3 microcontroller, $4 for me. And that's Amazon prices. That's not anything special. The bummer is I have to plug this in. But the exciting thing is that means I'm going to have a USB power lead at my recliner over here. And I want to be able to charge a phone there anyway,
yep.
right? So I need to put a splitter and have an extra port. I don't know where the port goes, but
aren't those sensors for kids? I mean, isn't that part of what those...
They are. That's why I assume you have to compress the foam in the seat
yeah.
before this goes off. Because you don't have to touch these very hard to get it to flip.
Yep.
So I think there's something I don't understand about how they work. I might be guessing wrong.
Well,
but for this, it'll do the job for sure.
I'm guessing that Rascal's a little lighter, and that the
he's a 20-pounder. He'd have to lay right where the switch is.
Yeah, he'd have to be real dense.
And I don't think I do.
Yeah. You're dispersed.
This is true. Well, we're going to do it in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Should we announce... Now, see, I disagree with you and 3D Weeb that we should do an introduction. But I'm wondering if we should do an outro to put on the 4 of these potential videos. Like we do the live stream every first Tuesday or something. I don't even think we have to do it for this set of videos. I'm not too worried about it. But
that's not a bad idea to routinely say, hey.
Yeah, just routinely at the end of every episode say we do this every first Tuesday
of the month.
And
make sure to like and subscribe.
Yeah, make sure to
click
like and
the notification bell.
All those things will go in this outro.
Smash that stuff.
And I'm going to use this as our outro.
Oh, I hope that you do.
For all these videos. This nonsense that we're speaking
Patreon
right now.
We each have
Patreon. We do each have Patreon. And the URLs for those will be in the description. And if we were good at this, I would explain to you why it's a good idea to support us on Patreon. But I did not prepare for that, guys. So I have to apologize for that.
You too might want a butt sensor for your home automation. And your contributions on Patreon are a huge reason why we're able to make butt sensors.
It's true. I could not have made a butt sensor without the support of my patrons. And I'm not even